everybody, welcome back to another episode of Speech Check. I am Sam.
And I'm Matt.
And this is episode 16.
And today we're going to talk about Minecraft Dungeons, Avalanche Studios, and what we've learned from gaming. But before we talk about that, and before we talk about what we've been playing, I'm going to hand over to Past Me, who is going to talk about someone we're partnering with for this episode. Take it away, Past Me. For this episode, we're partnered with Kitty and Sheep Crafts. Kitty and Sheep Crafts is a Clevedon-based, environmentally friendly, recycled decor store. They produce upcycled, home decorations at affordable prices. They can be found by Googling Kitty and Sheep, all one word, and links to their socials will be found in the description below. Thank you very much, Past Me. Now back to us in the present. Sam, what have you been playing?
I've been playing Bioshock 1. I went on sale, the Bioshock collection, so 1, 2, and Infinite, with all the DLC, so you get the Protector Trials and Minerva's Den from Bioshock 2. Minerva's Den was actually really good. Not a lot of people played it, as far as I know, but it was a nice little addition to the story, a little caveat.
I enjoyed the Protector Trials as well. I thought that was a fun little aside.
Yeah, it did the right thing. I think that's what Clash in the Clouds from Infinite wanted to kind of be like, but it's fairly well documented how that was not fun. Highlighting the worst aspect, or one of the weaker aspects, should I say, of your game. Probably not a great thing to do, but Burial at Sea is good, and that's also with that.
You know, I've still not played that. I
didn't play it until like a year ago, and I got well back into Infinite to do 1999 mode, and I did that all, and I finished it. So I've like completed everything on Bioshock series, as it were, on the 360. And I just wanted an excuse to play it again, so I got this. It was £9 down from I think like 45, and like £3 a game plus the DLC. Like that wouldn't get you one of the DLCs. It might get you Clash in the Clouds, but it wouldn't. Like a DLC pack, like additional story, is generally at what, £8 to £10, depending on what game it's for. So yeah, £3 a game with all the stuff. You know, my hands were tied. I couldn't really.
Can't say no to that, can you?
Exactly. So you didn't help by spurring me on, but I would have bought it anyway. You were the enabler. You were the excuse I was looking for.
When it comes to Bioshock, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I know it's a series that's very close to both of our hearts. We're both pretty big fans of it. We both cherish different ones, but that's a subject for another time.
An argument for a different section of this.
Yeah, that's like a podcast in of itself. But yeah, started that up, went straight in at the deep end, put it on hard, no Vita Chambers. There's actually an additional difficulty that comes with it. Survivor. And I don't know if there's anything unique about it, or it's just, it is harder than hard. I don't think there's any uniqueness to it. It's not like survival mode on Fallout or anything like that.
Okay.
As far as I'm aware. But yeah, it's good. I've got pretty deep into it. I've probably put about 20 hours into it already, and I'm up to... I've just killed Andrew Ryan.
Okay,
so I'm in...
Fairly...
What's that, Olympus Heights, I think that is. When you have the big reveal that Fontaine's not... Atlas isn't who you think he is. But yeah, it's really good. I don't feel like I'm looking at it with like my rose-tinted lenses on. It's a great game. I always think it will be. The sound design on it is absolutely amazing. Like, making you paranoid that even though you're like, you can just use telekinesis to basically break the game. Like, having or hearing a splicer's voice just somewhere around, and they say like the random stuff. And there's like sometimes bits where they're obviously setting up like mini enemy set pieces where like the Houdini splicers and stuff come in. It's the weird thing of like when you go into like, you interrupt like a bunch of enemies and they will just kind of turn and look at you. It's like, it's got like an eerie vibe to it that I didn't really get from any of the games, but
there's a lot of unsettling moments in the first one. The first one is closer to a horror game, I feel.
Yeah, it's definitely, it kind of lost that, I think, with the second one, where it probably shifted towards more action. I think the fact that Infinite was in the sky rather than under the sea, you lose that just element of claustrophobia.
I agree, yeah.
So yeah, I've been playing that. Really good. Going in for it. I'm going to try and get all the achievements on it. It's like carbon copy the ones that are on 360, which are basically play the game on hard, get all the collectibles, and then there's the stuff with the either protect the sister or save the sister, something around the little sister, kind of like what Bioshock 2 had.
You have to either consume them all or let them all go. Is that the thing? You like?
Yeah,
free them.
it's always objectively better to save them, though.
Yeah.
Because you get the unique gifts, and you get, once you've done a certain amount, you get the gifts have like 200 adamant, so you get the adam back that you would have got from harvesting them. So it's kind of a bit of a falsehood, that one. The main thing I did was finish Super Contra.
Ooh.
And that's a 13-year war I've had with that game. I started that game back in 2007. And there's an achievement to finish it in 1 credit. And I initially thought it was... So if you get to the end of a stage without getting hit, you get like an additional life. So getting hit is like almost doubly as bad, because you've basically lost out on 2 lives.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of... You're in a situation where if you get hit, you lose your weapon. So there's just... You almost have to basically flawless it, otherwise you're not going to do it, because once you go down to your regular weapon, that's it. Especially in like level 4, where the enemies just tank about 4 or 5 bullets. But yeah, finish it on 1 credit, so you can only get hit 4 times, I think. And it can kind of snowball, where if you get hit once, you can easily get hit 2 or 3 times just from like enemies running off screen or back on, or just jank that old school games like that used to do, that were trying to kill you and trying to take your money.
Yeah.
But yeah, conquered that. It was great.
Nice.
Congrats,
man.
Putting that to bed from 2007, so that felt really good. As someone who gets achievements, clearing something that's been on your backlog for that long is a very like cathartic feeling.
I can imagine.
And I also watched High School Musical 1 and 2. Not out of choice. I was made to watch them because Danielle was like, "Have you seen these?" And I said no, and then she said, "Oh," so I had to watch them.
I
was kind of like, well, we might as well watch 3 now. So I've seen them all. And she was like, "No, there's no point. 3's not that good." So that kind of annoyed me.
Oh.
To be fair, they weren't as bad as I thought they were going to be. 1 was pretty terrible, but 2, it wasn't like... I'd rather watch them than watch Twilight, put it that way.
Yeah. I would also rather watch someone like pull my fingernails out one at a time than watch Twilight. So not a huge accolade.
No, it's not a title you want to hang on to. And then I did intend to watch Predator from all the amazing content that you've been putting out. That inspired me to go watch that.
Oh.
But it's not on Netflix anymore, or at least not on UK Netflix.
Oh no.
But Kindergarten Cop was.
Oh.
So watch that instead.
Close enough.
I just needed some Arnie in my life and in my face. But yeah, that's the bulk of what I've been doing. But what have you been playing, Matt?
So speaking of Arnie and Predator, I've been playing a lot more Hunting Grounds, and trying to narrow down some video concepts and create that sweet YouTube content, and get it up on the Vox channel for everyone to enjoy. And it's good. I'm still enjoying it. I'm still enjoying playing both the Fire Team and the Predator. It's fun. It's like 2 games in 1. I've covered the game twice now in the review section, so I'm not going to harp on it too much. But I am still worried about the game's growth in the community. I hope that Ilphonic... I mean, they are releasing patches. Like, we have patch 1.08, and that added new stuff into the game, as well as Dutch with the DLC and stuff. And then they've released patch 1.09, which was a bit of a balance tweak and some bug fixes. So they're taking care of it. They're cleaning up, but it just needs something else. Again, I'm not going to harp on it too much because I've spoken about it a lot. So if you want to hear more about Hunting Grounds, we've had 2 episodes previously. I think last episode I was talking about the official release, and episode 11 I covered the free weekend. Just to jump in quickly, do you reckon the community isn't that great because it's kind of been a bit unfairly as well? I think from some more bigger sites that it's kind of been panned a little bit, or maybe seen as being like a bit of a cash grab on the name. I don't know. I think maybe that's it, and I guess it's not as accessible as something like a Call of Duty would be. It's not, because it is asymmetrical. It's just not. It's not easy to get on with, and sometimes people will jump in and play Predator and they just get burned down instantly because they're not playing the Predator correctly. And in the same way, sometimes the Fire Team have to rely on cooperation, and then that doesn't happen. So they get, you can have matches that are like 2 minutes long because the Predator just jumps in, you kill him, he sets off the nuke. No one knows how to deal with the nuke, so you all die, and that's it. That's the game. So it can feel, when a game goes badly, it can feel really constrained, like truncated. But when a game goes well and you have like 15 minutes of being pursued through the jungle, and then you're the last team member alive and you just exfil as the Predator's on your ass with his wrist blade, that feels great, and you get a real rush out of it. I said I'm not going to harp on about it, and here I am.
To be fair, I
prodded
you on that one, so that was my fault.
Never prod me because I will talk. So yeah, I've been playing a lot more of that, and again, like you said about the content, I'm trying to produce some interesting content to go alongside it and diversify what we're putting up here on the channel. So yeah, you can check that out and have a look. And
I think you're doing a great job, by the way, but I'm biased.
Oh, thanks, man. It's almost like you're my best friend of over a decade or something.
Well, let's not go too far.
Oh,
that's a joke.
Right in the soul. That was a punch straight to my soul.
I love you. I wouldn't be holding this microphone like a dart if I didn't love you.
I picked up Maneater as well. I had a coupon for Epic Games, and I was like, you know what? I can't say no. And I'm not going to say anything more about it because we're covering that in the releases, so I'll talk about that very shortly. I watched the entirety of the Titan Games, hosted by your friend and mine, Dwayne. If you smell what The Rock is cooking, Johnson.
Rock is cooking. Oh.
It's like World's Strongest Man meets Ninja Warrior. I absolutely loved it. It was so cool. Really fun series. And some absolutely tonks women. Like some of the buffest women I've ever seen doing some insane feats. And the men, there are lots of very strong men, but personally I was for some reason, maybe that says something about my impression of, gender roles, but I was really impressed by how some of the women performed. And I think that the producers didn't expect some of these women to be this strong. There was this one woman who just pulled a 200-pound boulder with one hand that was attached to a sledgehammer. Like, she just grabs this chain with one hand and walks, and this thing is just following her. It was insane. Like, it weighed nothing. Yeah, that was a great show. Definitely recommend that.
I'm interested. What do they win? What is the prize of the Titan Games?
The final champion gets, I think it was $10,000 or $100,000, and they get the title of Champion Titan.
The Master of the Universe. They
get to stand close enough to Dwayne Johnson to smell him. So that's the real gift, I think.
They shall represent Earth if we're ever invaded.
Yeah. Well, Mars will send forth
champion.
Their champion, and then Earth will present the buffest woman you've ever seen. And
she's going to pull that boulder, and they're going to go, Christ, we're not going to mess with that.
Yeah, let's not even bother. I also watched Terminator Dark Fate, which I messaged you about because I'd heard a lot of shtick, a lot of stuff flying at it, saying
I've heard great things.
It's right. It's never going to be T2. We're not going to have another T2. It's just not going to happen.
It's the standard that all Terminator films are going to be judged by. That's the thing.
Yeah, like the series peaked early, and we've had what have we had now? Rise of the Machines, Salvation, Genesis, and they've all been average at best, I'd say, in my opinion. And this came along, and it was basically a remake of T2 in a way. Not as directly as Genesis, where it was like shot for shot trying to copy it, but it was very, very similar. Like, Liquid Terminator turns into people. It has some new concepts, but it's not trying to...
What's the thing? What is it that he has in this one? Because I've seen it. It's like a smoke sort of... I don't know. Sort of, he has like black, like tiny little balls that he uses to like recreate stuff.
So he looks a bit like... So he's got an endoskeleton like the T-101. Correct me if I'm wrong on the series there. That's Arnie's series, I believe, is the T-101.
Mm.
And he then has a liquid exoskeleton, a bit like the T-800. And the exoskeleton looks like ferrofluid, kind of. That like magnetic stuff.
Yeah.
But he can like detach himself from his endoskeleton. So there can be two of him, essentially. And there are a couple... They didn't really lean on that too heavily, which I was disappointed by, because it was the one thing that was actually different. And in fact, saying that, Rise of the Machines was that she was like a technopath, right? She could like possess other machines with like nanobots and stuff. Right? That was the thing in T3?
Yes, I've not watched that film in like over 15 years, so...
I remember it being a very similar concept. It was like the only thing they could think of was for the third film was, what if they were like the first two films but together? And it's a bit like that on this as well. There's not like his arms become blades at one point, and there's a lot of that going on. He changes into someone's loved one. I think it's worth a watch. It's not as bad as everyone says. Don't believe the press. It's definitely the best Terminator since T2, but that's not really saying much.
I just want to say, if we move on...
Oh, go on.
Your foster parents are dead. Sorry. It's my favourite line from the film.
That's a weird favourite line, I've got to say it.
It's just the way he says, like, it's how like a simple logical trick catches him out.
Oh,
so he says the dog's wrong name, didn't he?
Something.
He says, "How's Wolfie?" And she's like, "Wolfie's fine." That's when she stabs the guy in the head through the car.
Oh yeah. And she's on the phone with like the kid's dead dad hanging off of his
and he's like, "Oh."
I'd be pretty unhappy if someone was stabbing my milk. You know, I'm defensive around dairy.
That's why he died. He died in shock from losing milk.
Yeah. Oh God, don't waste the milk. Yeah, and my last thing that I've been doing is struggling to play GTA 5 to the point where I've now uninstalled it because it was 90 gig. I'm not having it on my hard drive anymore. I spent 2 hours just trying to play a game with my friend online. 2 hours. Some of that was tutorials, which I can kind of excuse a little bit, but there was a lot of tutorial bump. The rest of it was random disconnects, getting kicked in and out of servers. I had one hard crash back to desktop, and I was like, you know what? Done. Over. Get off my hard drive, GTA 5. I get that you're a great game, but you're not worth 90 gig of space right now. So I booted that bad boy off and have said goodbye to it.
It's a very specific beast. You have to like know how to navigate GTA Online. So I'm not surprised. I've been through that many a year ago, and yeah, the fact that I had to video how to actually enter online without ending up in the endless loading sky, that I had to give you a tutorial on that was like,
oh yeah,
in 2020 as well, when the game's been out a good 7 years, is pretty insane.
It felt, I don't know, poorly optimized. I know they're doing a lot, like you have a large shared space. It's quite difficult to initialize, but the amount of time I spent just staring at my character stood still with like a blue filter over the screen, I'm like, okay, like, have I done something wrong, or is the game doing something wrong? I don't know what to do. And then after about 5 minutes, it would like plop me into some mission. Anyway, that was very frustrating. But yeah, that's what I've been up to.
Come back when you get some money, buddy.
So that's what we've been playing. But Matt now is going to tell us about the releases.
I am indeed. And as I hinted at previously, I picked up Maneater, coming at us from Tripwire Games, 22nd of May 2020. This is an incredibly unique third-person experience. It's a bit like GTA meets Banjo-Kazooie, but you play as a shark, is how I'm going to describe that. It feels kind of like playing a collectathon underwater, like lots of little objectives and all that kind of stuff, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So, you play a shark, and it's set, there is a story setting, I suppose you could call it. It's set in a show, like a fictional Deadliest Catch style show called Maneater, and you're following Scaly Pete as he hunts for a shark that killed his dad. So like a bit of a Moby Dick-esque story. He's looking for this great white shark, or megalodon, I think it is. I'm not that far in the story itself, so I think that's what's coming up. But you begin the game, you get caught by Scaly Pete. He then pulls a little baby shark out of the mama shark's belly, and then you play as the baby. So Scaly Pete has killed your mum. You're on a revenge mission. Scaly Pete looking for the megalodon. He's on a revenge mission. And what ensues is just a kind of fun... I've never played a game like it. I've never played a game where you are a shark battling other marine life forms to level up. That's a huge part of the game, is the RPG element. You level up and change the mutagens in your shark, because you're in this kind of faux city waterscape setting that has a real issue with pollution and experimentation. So you can get all these different kinds of mutations as you level up, like electric teeth and bone-covered head pieces and extra fins for moving faster and all this kind of stuff. You could end up looking like an absolute mutant traveling around in the bay. As I've said, you're a shark, you're underwater. Traversing the environment is fun. The battles against marine life as well, that's pretty fun. The combat is not too deep, but it's quite satisfying. The enemy... I've fought a lot of alligators at the moment. There's tons of alligators everywhere. And they tend to they'll telegraph their attack. You dodge at the right time, and then they have an opening spot. So it's quite a simple backwards and forwards that you get in the combat. When the hunters get involved, it gets a little bit spammy, because you can kind of just jump out of the water pluck off one of the hunters that will be shooting at you and then gnaw on them to death. The hunters effectively act as your police, to give it a GTA kind of comparison, and as you kill people, you increase your threat level, and then when your threat level gets to a certain point, hunters will come out to you. Then when you kill a certain number of hunters, you get one of the named hunters, and your job is to kill these named hunters until you expose Scaly Pete. And while you're doing that, you're swimming around, you're like seeing landmarks, you're mutating crazily and killing all kinds of marine life. To accompany you, there's a pretty decent soundtrack and commentary from Chris Parnell, who you may or may not know is Jerry from Rick and Morty. And he drops some factoids about sharks, marine life, and the place that you're at, the different water worlds you inhabit. Some of them are true, and some of them are just for comedic effect, but it's quite fun. And it, as odd as it sounds, it never seems out of place. It never seems strange to have him kind of interject and just say something a little bit glib every now and then. I got this for a slight discount because Epic Games are doing a big sale at the moment. So I thought it was worth it. I got it for like 21 quid, and I'm going to see it through to the end just because it's a laugh. It's nice to see a game that is single player focused, a completely different concept. Like I don't know another game like it. There's games set underwater, Subnautica, that kind of stuff, but this game where you play a predator underwater, there's just nothing like it. It's a fun game, and I think it's worth picking up, and I'm glad it's not price pointed at the AAA level. Full price is about 34 quid, and like I said, I got mine for slightly cheaper, so I'd say it's worth around the mid-20s mark for me, but fun game, worth checking out. Interesting.
I've got a quick question for you.
Go on.
So do you think this... So it strikes me just from the material I've seen about it, is that it's like a goofy fun game that, from what you've said, has some slightly deeper and at least thought about mechanics to it. Do you think it could be like a trend with like this goofy, wacky, animal-related humor we're seeing? That could be a thing for indie devs now that, we've had that. You've got Untitled Goose Game. Do you think that's like an avenue we're going to go down? That's like a good market to exploit?
I think games where you play as animals are maybe just different inherently because there are so many games where you play people. And that makes a lot of sense because, it's probably a lot easier to self-insert into a human body rather than, put yourself in the mind of a shark. So I can see why it's not done. And yeah, maybe indie devs are going to start pushing in different directions. It doesn't necessarily have to be animal related. It's just having something new and framing your game in a different way that is just for fun. And gladly as well, this doesn't fall into the kind of Saints Row 4 trap where the game starts with you beating gimps to death with a dildo. Like, it doesn't go complete.
It doesn't hit you too hard immediately.
It doesn't jump the shark. Pardon the pun. Yeah, it stays in a realm that's still cohesive and doesn't go completely mental. But yeah, maybe it could be. Maybe there's more. And also, what was it? Human Ancient Origins, where you play a family of monkeys trying to survive prehistory. You heard of that?
No, but I want to hear more about it.
Is it Ancient Humans? Something like that. I'll tell you what, I might cover it, because it seems like a really interesting game, and again, an interesting setting for a game. Yeah, that was Maneater from Tripwire. Moving right along, got Minecraft Dungeons coming us from Mojang Studios, 26th of May 2020. To put this in its most simplistic form, this is a simple, accessible Diablo. It's Minecraft Diablo. And if you've seen any gameplay on it, it plays exactly how it looks, which is just like that. It's light on story. You get a basic VO that gives you some direction on your gameplay. There's been a villager that has grabbed some all-powerful orb after being shunned by his villager friends, and he's become some evil tyrant. And you have to travel through all these dungeons to mess him up, stop him doing evil stuff. It's basic. It gives you enough focus and push, play through the dungeons, and there's nothing else really going on with the story. It's a dungeon crawler, so it's all about loot drops. It has that Diablo loop, I want to get this new weapon, you pick up a weapon. There's just weapons all the time. Weapons, items, and artifacts, I think they're called, are dropping constantly. Towards the later levels of the game, it can get almost like two-stick shootery bullet hell kind of esque, a bit like Binding of Isaac, when things start to pick up, screens full of enemies, and that might be a time when you would want a partner to come with you, because this game is co-op, both same couch and online. You can drop in with a friend and take on these Minecraft dungeons. The graphics are Minecraft, and that's kind of all I really need to say. They still look good. You know, that it's well rendered, and all of the environments are well put together, and they fit in that Minecraft setting. So there's nothing out of the ordinary here. Everything's pretty on theme for Minecraft, and the same with the music as well. They've tweaked up the variations, but it's still very much Minecrafty. And again, I didn't want to use the word Minecrafty too much in this description of the game, but all the enemies are Minecrafty.
Minecrafty, Soulsborne, Metroidvania. All your favourite words.
Yeah.
Progressive leveling system.
You're procedurally generated.
It's never the same game.
You'll recognise all of the enemies from Minecraft, so they all come back, and they've also made slight variations to the enemies in certain cases to make like different variants and different difficulties of enemy. So you get a bit more variety from that, which is cool. That's good. It has an interesting approach to difficulty. You start off with I think you start off with normal difficulty, and then when you complete it, you get hard, and then there's another difficulty above hard. But then each mission itself has a difficulty slider. So if you're finding things too easy, I think that would be what at least gamers like you and I, or slightly older gamers who are maybe, I'd describe us as core, but maybe not hardcore. Core gamers would find this to be an easy Diablo experience, and it definitely doesn't have the depth, complexity maybe to really grab a core or hardcore Diablo fan. It's going to be like a watered down version of that. There's enough to make it engaging for someone who has played those games, and if you do enjoy those sort of dungeon crawling games, there's fun to be had here, and being able to ramp up that difficulty I think is a really good option that's been added from Mojang Studios to allow someone who is more familiar with the format to give themselves a bit more of a challenge. But they know that Minecraft is a younger game. It's for a younger audience.
Sorry, just to jump in. It's interesting though to think about it that, you know, Minecraft and Diablo is not two things you put together, and it's not two like fan bases that you put together. And I can't imagine that someone that would like Minecraft would want to play a game like this. They're probably playing it because, I would imagine, they're Minecraft fans and it's just another game like that. But I don't think it would be like... Well, I'd be interested to see the conversion rate between people that played this, say, that are like 10 years old, that are into Minecraft, and they're like, oh, I'm going to go explore and find out what Diablo is now. I don't think there'd be a lot of transition into that genre.
No, I hear you on that. It's a strange step, but it makes some sense, because Minecraft does have... You know, you do get some dungeons in Minecraft. I'm not a Minecraft player, so I think there are some dungeons in Minecraft, and there are like caves to explore and things. So it does.
Yeah, it's closer to the type of things you can experience in Minecraft. It's not like they've made an RTS.
No, yeah, it's not insanely far away from the source material. And speaking of that, you actually can't craft in this game. There's really limited environmental interaction, and you can't craft weapons or anything. That's not something that happens in the game, which is odd. Yeah, this was a curious one. It seems fun, and I think if it was cheap enough, I'd pick it up just as like a curiosity piece. It doesn't look like it's something that could really hold my attention. The aesthetic isn't personally for me. I'd say if you're into Minecraft, you'll definitely enjoy this, especially if you're a little bit older. I think this hits a little bit older for me. It's not for the really younger demographic. And if you have a casual interest in games like Torchlight, Path of Exile, or Diablo, I think there is some fun to be had, especially with a friend. I think that co-op element can really add something to someone who's maybe a bit more au fait with this kind of game. Yeah, I say pick it up, but only in certain circumstances. Last game for me, this one I'm going to cover really kind of briefly and just give an overview, because it's an odd one. So this is COVID: The Outbreak from Jujubee, coming out the 29th of May 2020. Much like the Plague Inc. games, it has a very similar kind of presentation to Plague Inc. It's a very different game, but similar presentation. The player takes control of the World Health Organization as they have to stop the spread of COVID-19. So it's set right now based on the actual virus, using actual figures that are available. They've based it on reality. It's a management resource game, which, just like Plague Inc. And Jujubee have stated that they want this game to be educational, primarily. So the game explains a lot about the virus, and it offers the player a little window into how to deal with situations like we are living through right now. They're also giving 20% of the profits towards the development of the vaccine for COVID. And it looks like a really well thought out strategy game. There's a lot of, interconnected cogs here. I'm not going to delve too deeply into the mechanics because it is a very mechanically rich game, and I'd advise people to seek it out on YouTube. There's some first plays and playthroughs on there that you can really get a feel for it. The reason why I brought this up for my indie spotlight game is because I really don't know how I feel about this. Is this the right time to be making games based on a pandemic which is still killing people?
If they were doing it for pure monetary gain and to capitalize on an issue, I think it's making something not work to your benefit, right? I think that you can take advantage of the time, say we're using the time now to do more creative stuff with Vox because we're on the furlough scheme. That's not, I don't feel like that's us taking the piss. I don't know. I don't get the vibe that this is, because I feel like if the aim of it is to teach people what it is, what the virus is, to understand more about it, how to stop the spread of it, if they can do that for children who might not have any interest in, because if it doesn't affect me, then why do I care? And as a kid, it's kind of more socially acceptable to think that, because you don't really have any realm outside of your own well-being. So I don't know. I think I haven't seen anything on it myself, but it seems like they're trying to frame it in the right thing of this. They're just trying to, at the very least, make children more aware of what COVID is and how deadly it can be, and trying to hit that home for people. Then I don't personally have a problem with it, and they are donating some of the money to the vaccine, so it's not like it doesn't feel like a cash grab to me, but I don't know how you feel about it.
No, the tone of the game is serious, and it is nice to see that they're donating some of the profits towards the development of a vaccine. But there's something, I don't know, there's something about it that I'm not, it sits a bit sour with me, and I don't know why. It's, in my head, it's almost the same conversation as, are some things not okay to joke about at certain times? When is the right time for video games as a media to get involved in something like this?
Yeah, I don't. Well, like you said, they're clearly not making a joke out of it. So it's, if it was the, forgive me for blanking on the name of it, but the penis is rising, whatever the insane. Yeah. If it was like that, and it was like, if you don't cure them, if you don't cure the people, then the entire population will turn into penises. It's not that insane and not trying to take the piss out of it. That would be, I think, straight up wrong. And in very bad taste, because obviously you're referencing actual people that have died. So, and there are probably some people that won't like this and will say that it is doing that, and I can respect that. But for me personally, it doesn't rub me up that way. Well,
let us know below whether this leaves a bad taste in your mouth and what you think, whether it's the right time to be releasing games based on COVID or not. But yeah, that's all I've got for releases. That's me.
Thanks, man.
No worries. So that's what's come out lately. But Sam, what is going on in the wider world of gaming right now? Talk to me.
I am so glad you asked, Matt, because otherwise I'd have nothing to say. I'm going to start you off with my appetizers, as I normally do, and then build you up to the peak, the apex, the zenith. I don't know if that's the right word.
That was the right way to use that word, yeah.
Oh, good, thanks. The first item I have for you is that Avalanche Studios who many people probably know primarily, I imagine, from the Just Cause series, but they've also made Mad Max and Rage 2. They're opening a new studio in Liverpool, United Kingdom.
Oh, awesome.
So, as far as I know, there's not too many devs / publishers / gaming offices around the UK. So I always get pretty hyped when I hear one when they're setting up an office in our fair shores.
We've got a
there's
couple,
going to be
but yeah, it's nice to have more.
Yeah, I knew that. Was it Crytek used to be here, but they shut down since then. And I think Rebellion are in Oxford. I think
we've got Rockstar in Edinburgh.
Yeah, that's true. Way up north. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of indie stuff that goes on around like the Midlands. There's a few smaller cities in the Midlands that have. Is it Hull? I want to say Hull. It's a bit of like an indie dev.
There's some in Nottingham, right?
Yeah, Nottingham.
Yeah. So yeah, around that kind of area. But we digress. There's going to be 20 positions on offer currently, and they're aiming to get to around 50 staff when they're all up and fully running. There's a variety of roles on there. I had a quick look, and there's vegetation and character artist. Those are two separate artists, by the way. That's not a joint venture.
So it's not like I can be the vegetation and you'll be a character artist. I can't be employed as vegetation.
No, you can. Yeah, sorry, it's two separate roles. I wasn't making that clear enough. So you can make.
I was being facetious. I was saying I can't be employed as a vegetable. That was what I was.
Oh, I see. Right, I'm an idiot. Maybe I'm a vegetable.
Sorry.
I'm a carrot. Can be a recruiter there. They're also looking for a location manager and sound, graphics, and animation programmers and more. So that's just a selection of what they've got on offer at the moment. According to their website, they can help you with moving arrangements. They give you a growth plan and they promise an 8-hour work day, which are all good things to hear. You know, it seems like they're putting in like the extra mile to get as many people on board as they can. Until all this kind of COVID craziness is over, people are working remotely, so it's not like you have to wait until whenever people are officially allowed to go back to work, or people in the video games industry are allowed to go back to work. So you can apply right now, and I'll have you working remotely until the restrictions change, at least here in the UK. I don't quite know what it's like in other places. The aim of people working there, they're going to be initially working alongside the other studios that are developing the current and future IPs that Avalanche has within their creative division, Expansive Worlds. I'm not too familiar with what Expansive Worlds have worked on, but it sounds cool. That you're gonna, if you can literally apply now, and maybe within a couple of weeks you could work on developing video games. I'm going to link the careers page for Avalanche in the description. So if you're a budding games designer, if you want to make some carrots or some tomatoes or anything like that, let us know if you're gonna apply and what you're going to apply for. The next one is for a little bit of a callback to the last episode, because I mentioned GTA 4. There's an update in the last week or so. So GTA 4 was released, 2007-ish?
Roughly, I think.
So a little while ago. And GTA has radio stations, and a common thing of why games get delisted, and there's a whole lot of jiggery-pokery around stuff, is from music licensing. So I think a couple of years ago they had to do an update which took out certain radio stations and songs to be in line with whatever copyright they'd agreed to because of license expiry. There's an update that then restored these, or fixed them in some way, but it had the unfortunate side effect of corrupting a lot of people's save files. Also, fair play if you are still plugged away with GTA 4 in 2020.
There can't be anything left, right, in that game to discover.
I'd be very, very surprised. Like, I was more trying to just get through mine, but I was obviously there for a specific reason than just to enjoy the sights and sounds of Liberty City. But yeah, on the 28th of May, there was an update to restore some old songs of radio stations, and people have been getting the message that their game simply, quotes, cannot be loaded. When they put the save on, that's kind of all they get. Apparently a fix has now been rolled out, but it's just another thing that's kind of happened with GTA 4. GTA 4 has kind of been like something of a blemish for Rockstar. GTA 5 is constantly praised and has done critically and commercially well. It has its ugly side with GTA Online, as you've discovered, Matt, firsthand.
Yeah.
But GTA 4 has kind of just been, it's just like been providing problems over the years. Like it, especially with PC. Rockstar, don't have a great track record with their games on PC. Like Red Dead took ages to optimize and to fully release for PC, and I don't know how smooth an experience it is now on PC. But the game was removed. GTA 4 in question had to be removed from Steam because I think the Windows Live edition like messed up or it got delisted. Something happened to it, and it was just a bit of a fuck up.
Oh man!
They then had to replace. So I don't think you can officially get like GTA 4 on its own now. You can only get the complete edition, which has the 2 expansions with it.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just been a bit of a mess, really. You know, Rockstar don't normally get many things wrong, but it just seems to be another annoyance for them that they'd probably take GTA 4 down altogether if they could.
Hmm.
But I think you can still play online, like the servers that are still up for that. So
Really?
yeah, I think so.
That does surprise me.
So I suppose if they've got the space for them, they've got the reason to take them down.
I guess, yeah.
Wasn't it like Halo 2 didn't go down? Like original Halo 2 didn't actually go down that long ago. It was like surprisingly.
You're right, yeah.
Yeah, and that was just because of the Master Chief Collection, or something to do with that. Yeah, that's that one. I did have a little story, but I'm trying to be a bit more concise, and it's probably only pertinent to me. So we're going to skip over that, and we go straight into the main one, the meat of it, as it were, which is very fitting that I've used a food analogy.
Mm-hmm. I'm liking it. I'm just reading some of the notes now, so yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, as you can glean from what I've written, there has been a recent study from Newzoo, who is a games market insight company. And I've checked out their website. They've got fairly in-depth studies on just all things relating to games and gamers.
Mm.
And the current one has found that over 80% of gamers eat and or drink whilst playing games. And I definitely know I'm within that bracket.
Okay.
The study covered North America, APAC, which apparently encompasses China, India, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, the Philippines, Vietnam, Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, Australia, Indonesia, and New Zealand. And then you've got Western Europe making up the third group, which is Germany, United Kingdom, France, Spain, Italy, the Netherlands, Belgium, and Sweden.
It's a comprehensive study, yeah. That's like a big sample size.
It's not just like in this city, in this town. It's, you know, they've got a very big like subject group to draw from.
Mm.
Western Europe came out third, with apparently we do eat and or drink 74% of the time, and the APAC, so Asia and Indonesia and that kind of area, was the highest with 84%.
Okay.
And in this study, they've also found that APAC has the most diverse countries and trends. So I guess in Western Europe, you've probably got quite similar figures. And if you're looking at it from a graph point of view, there's probably quite a wavy line with not too many peaks and valleys. Whereas the Asian countries, so like Thailand, could be vastly different from Australia, which could be vastly different from India.
Okay.
So apparently that has like the most diverse range of sort of metrics, I guess.
Mm.
India and Indonesia are the highest, apparently 94 and 93% respectively.
Eating is
to play games.
Okay.
Yeah. They consume something.
Hmm.
With New Zealand and Singapore being the lowest, with 63 and 64% respectively as well. The most popular group of gamers most likely to eat whilst playing for all the regions is men 21 to 35. So well done, Matt, we did it.
Awesome.
I can believe that.
That's
the most common type.
Oh, sorry, man.
That's like prime gaming age, right?
Yeah, I was going to say that's a key demographic for gaming.
Mm. Yeah, I'd say that's the most popular gaming age, but maybe a little bit younger, but for core gamers, I guess.
Mm.
The most common type of snacks are salty snacks, so like crisps, chips, and like crackers and things like that, and soft drinks, the most popular. Apparently, beer is also quite popular in South Korea. I think it's the most popular country, where you get about 10 to 15%.
Oh, I'm partial to a gaming beer. You know, I can.
You are, yeah. I think you're more. I personally don't, but I know you're a bit more of a. You'll sit down with a cocktail of sorts, or a bit more of an alcoholic beverage to.
Depending on the game
going.
Yeah, if I'm experiencing a game like for the first time, I won't. But if I'm just messing about, I'll grab a beer, or if it's an online game as well.
Yeah, context, time and place, depends what you're playing.
Mm.
The study does go more in depth about certain aspects. It kind of it's quite a comprehensive study, which I won't go. I feel like even some of the points I've covered are a little bit more wordy. But if you want to check it out, I'm going to link that as well. So if you want to see all the crazy stuff that people do in certain regions where they eat and drink whilst gaming, feel free, go nuts. And I've got a question at the bottom to say, what are our favourite gaming snacks? I'm going to jump in immediately and say that I used to... We don't do it now because we finished it all. But I used to have... I call them zombie nights, where me and 3 or 4 of my friends would come around. We'd all bring our Xboxes and our TVs, set it up in one of our houses, play Black Ops or World at War Zombies, and we'd all get Dominoes. And that was great. It's one of the highest points in my life doing that.
That sounds like.
And I'd always make a point. Yeah, I'd always make a point of when we were there being like, do you know what, guys? This is great. I just want to say that.
Just recognise the contentment, having a good time.
Let's just take a moment to say that we're with our friends, we're eating pizza, and we're playing video games. Isn't this nice?
See, as for like eating, I tend not to eat when I game. And if I do eat, I'll grab like a handful of nuts or something, or like something like that. I won't be like in between rounds, like nomming on a sandwich or something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I'm not that way. It's usually like a bag of crisps or a chocolate bar. It's usually it's a snack. It's not. I'm not there playing Smash, and in between stocks I'm tucking in some duck à l'orange.
Yeah, sucking the roast dinner off my keyboard in between rounds. And for drinks, so as I mentioned beer, but also I'm a big coffee drinker. So I quite like to have. I like a hot black coffee if I'm getting into a game. Like in the morning, waking up, hot black coffee, jump on a game, get your mind going.
There's a big thing about energy drinks and particularly Monster in that study.
Monster is it's absolutely delicious. I love a Monster.
I do associate that brand more with gamers.
Yeah.
Like a friend of ours, you know who he is, but I'm not going to name names, that I know every morning we'll have a can of Monster when we start work.
Oh, yeah.
And that, I don't know, I just can't do it. I'm not that way. I'm a soft drink. A can of Coke does me right. But I'm a bit of a connoisseur as well, so I'll get like some insane ones. Like in one of the shops where I worked, there was like I think you saw it was like a Chupa Chups drink. And it was like pink, but like fizz, and it was like really sweet. But I've got a very, very bad sweet tooth, so that's my thing. Yeah. If you want to let us know what you eat or drink while you play games, smash them in the comments. Feel free.
Do it. We want to hear it.
But that's all my news. I'm newsed out.
Well, thank you very much. I am enlightened, as always.
You are welcome. So that's what's been going on in the gaming world, but now we're going to end with our episodic question, which is, what have we learned from gaming and video games in general? And Matt is going to start us off.
So I think I've learned a lot in my youth from games. Not specifically video games, but from gaming. So I think a lot of my English and math skills were bolstered by my interest in Magic the Gathering and fighting fantasy books.
Okay.
Magic the Gathering has a lot of addition and subtraction and multiplication on a fairly low level, but when you're young, constantly having to do simple maths, I think is, repetition. Practice makes perfect. That's what I'm trying to say. Repetition of those skills is gonna help you with them. And I think linguistically, because Magic has flexible rules where a card on the field can overwrite other cards depending on how they're written, you start to get this kind of mindset where you're looking for almost like logical strings, where you're like, oh, well, I've played this after this part of my turn, and that can't happen because this is out. You start to like piece together. So it kind of helps you with like logical thinking and comprehension, linguistic comprehension. You're like really reading something to understand it. And it might sound silly because it's always such a small dose of rule text on each of the cards. But when you put it into the context of the game, you have an entire rule set to understand, which is your base play, and then you've got all of these cards that are coming in, and they don't all change the state of play, but a lot of them do, especially now. A lot of them do change the state of play, and just reading through a set of interactions really, I really think it helped with my understanding of English and logical thinking, being critical. And then there's Fighting Fantasy, which I remember it being my like core reading experience as a child, because I really enjoyed like the game aspect of it, and having to roll dice, which again, having a game where you roll dice and add, subtract, even on a simplistic level, do simple multiplication and division, it can really help you flex that part of your mind and just get a bit more comfortable with it. So that, in my early life, that was a big part of things. And as I went into my late teens, I played a lot more Dungeons and Dragons. And I think D&D is a really great game for teaching younger people a lot about the world. It's kind of like any sort of play where you start to learn about money management, like you want to save up your gold so you can afford more expensive things down the way, so you get deferred gratification. I've done this many missions so I can get this new armor, or let's not attack this person now because maybe there's more of them down the road or something. You learn about risk management in a safe space. There are no real world consequences to your character dying, but you learn when something is dangerous and not dangerous, and you can maybe take that understanding of danger and then apply it to the real world. And this is something a bit more of a hot topic, was dealing with prejudice as well. The game has a lot of different aspects, races in there, and you can have games that confront that and speak about how different races interact with each other. And there is certain races in between, like dwarves and elves. They don't like each other, so you might get two player characters, one a dwarf, one an elf, and they work together, and you end up with this interesting, if they're RPing, they're kind of at odds because of their backgrounds, but maybe not at odds in the situation, and that maybe makes you question your own judgments in life. There's a lot that you can take from a game like Dungeons and Dragons that you can apply to life, and you can, I think, further yourself. I think it's a great tool. And communication and interpersonal skills. At the end of the day, you're sat around a table with 6 other people, and everyone has to talk, both in and out of character. And I don't think you can ever overestimate how important it is just to be around people, because we're social creatures, and being around someone and having that shared experience really builds something. And on the video game front, this is only in my older life, I'd say, like late teens, early 20s, and forwards, considering I'm now 30, understanding UI and UX. That's come about probably more in my mid-20s, but sometimes you can just smell when something's off. You play a game and you're like, this doesn't feel good, and you start to notice, like, oh, because the menus like feel bad. That sense of feeling, you get like almost like a tangibility from a game where you're like, something's not right about this. I don't really like that.
You've done it enough to know when it's good and bad.
And I think some games encourage an understanding of healthy competition, but I'm not going to pretend that I'm not a rager. I do.
Oh, it comes with the territory.
Games push me have pushed me to my limit. I've punched stuff. I've screamed. I think one time I actually hurt my throat screaming after you caped me on Smash Brothers as Mario.
The cape as well.
Yeah,
there's a reason there are like YouTube montages of the fighting game community in particular, of people getting pissed off and smashing controllers and stuff like that. There's a reason it exists.
But yeah, no, that's kind of my nutshell. I think gaming was really important for me, for my maths, English skills in my early life, and like I said, D&D is just a really great tool for learning, in my opinion. What about you, Sam? Hit me with yours.
So, like yourself, it's come to light more in the past 5 to 10 years, but it's taught me like how to recognize game design tropes and systems and like visual language, and like asking myself, what is the games designer or developer trying to tell me or get me to think about? And it's interesting when I play games with Danielle, particularly referencing Breath of the Wild, where we like go into a shrine and she'd say, "Oh, maybe we have to use this," or you'd be in a dungeon and you'd have to use this, and I'd be like, "No, they wouldn't get you to use that because that's not how Zelda games work. They give you a tool and then you immediately use that to solve the puzzle. Like it doesn't work. They're not just going to randomly pick. Though they might do every 1 out of 100 times, but generally you get an item. That item then is the key item in the next dungeon. So it's interesting to see how my thinking has evolved from that compared to someone who isn't a gamer, or definitely wouldn't identify as a gamer.
You get a certain vocabulary, don't you?
Yeah, it's like, okay, they're doing this, that thing's red, that means it probably blows up, or these enemies are coming from here, or this is a spawn closet. Just there's things that appear in games, and you can game it. It's taught me how to lose. I used to be a really bad loser, and every now and then that does flare up. That doesn't help because, again, we both play Smash, and it's a game that seems to encourage that in a weird way. But yeah, I used to be really bad at it, but I've gotten a lot better as I've got older. Just being just let it wash over you. There'll always be another fight. There'll always be another game. Not everybody sees it that way. I used to get a lot of shit on Gears for being defensive, and people were like, just go and rush the objective. And it's like, what, me against 5 other people who are looking directly at me? I don't think so.
God, that's something that plagues online shooters. It's like,
go break the ring.
Just go in.
It's like, why? If I wait 10 seconds, I'll have at least 3 people here with me.
People don't understand, losing a battle, winning a war. There's risk reward.
Yeah. So it's taught me more about that. It's taught me in part, or helped me, not necessarily from the ground up how to, but I've got younger members of my family, mostly cousins, and playing games with them has taught me how to interact somewhat with children. Though I was some kind of ogre with them, but it's like a medium that you're both communicating with, and it's more when I see some of my cousins are a few years apart in age, and say that they're just playing on FIFA or something, and one of them will get upset because they're losing, and I'll try and help them along, or I'll just sit back and observe and just see how they're interacting with one another. And I've got a passion, oddly, for psychology and kind of what makes us tick and why we do certain stuff. And I think observing children and psychology, because it's there's not any. If you did a psychology study or test on somebody, if I did it on you, you'd be aware that I was doing a psychology test on you, so you might change your answers, so you'd be thinking about it, whereas a child is giving you a direct, honest response. So yeah, that's just more interesting to me, and I feel like I've learned more about that with gaming as a particular tool within that medium. It's taught me how to write, and some people might, if we've got any returning listeners. I do gaming journalism and have done for a while. I write for a couple of websites, and it's opened me up. I did a piece, I blog on True Achievements as well, and that's really nice as a place that can just be, I can just write exactly how I want to write, and it's not kind of judged against anything. And some people chime in with stuff, but generally you're just kind of shooting the breeze, and it's a relaxed place, no one's judging. Whereas if I write for a website, then it's slightly different because you've got a brief and a workout and all that kind of stuff that goes along with professional writing. And it's taught me just having games as a subject matter, how to frame an argument, how to write from both sides. There was a post week before, and it was just really inflammatory. It almost insulted people that use the site. It was about how, I can't remember if I told you actually, about how limited edition consoles, special edition stuff.
You showed me this, yeah.
Yeah, it was a big waste of money. It seems like a really odd thing to do for someone who wasn't well acquainted with the site to come in and immediately tell everybody they were stupid for spending money on a hobby that everybody who uses the site is going to enjoy. They might have their own views on it, but it just wasn't how I would pitch an argument or an opinion piece. But using gaming as a subject matter has taught me how to craft a voice and a tone, and made me better at what I can hopefully do more of in the future. It's also taught me, oddly, about my own, I say morality structure, which might seem a bit deep.
Yeah.
But any game where you can have a moral choice of doing the good thing or the bad thing, I am always doing the good thing. I'm never the bad guy. I even if it's an extra 10, 20 hours to do this thing so these people like me, I will do it. And I think it's shown me that I don't feel like I'm a people pleaser, but I just don't. I very much abide by the the saying, I guess, that is it catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar?
Yeah.
Like, you don't get anything bad out of being nice to somebody. You could only hopefully get, you have that, like, I guess you want to call it, like, interaction mirroring. So, like, if I'm nice to you, you're going to find it, unless you're an absolute dick, you're going to be, generally, you'd probably be nice to me back.
Mm.
And it was hard when I played some of the Telltale games. You couldn't do that. You had to make a choice where, like, especially in The Walking Dead, where, like, you had to pick. You had 5 seconds to choose someone that lived or someone that died, because you couldn't say both. And that was, like, a real test for me. Because then, like, you'd have, say somebody died, but their daughter was still with you, and she was like, "You let my dad die," and you just constantly then have to live with the consequences of your actions. And that was actually a really tough game for me to play.
Mm.
So yeah, I think it's taught me more about who I am, which I don't struggle with or see it as a bad thing. But the more you understand yourself, right, the more you can point out places that you might be going wrong and, like, be more okay with your insecurities or your shortcomings.
It's like held up a mirror to you in some sense.
Yeah, that's the bulk of it. That's what I've learned from gaming, I'd say, for the most part.
Yeah. Why don't you let us know in the comments below what you have learned?
Yeah, go for it. Please let us know.
I'm going to run straight in to the question for the next episode, which is, who are some of our favourite protagonists from gaming?
So yeah, anybody you play as in a game. That could be Nathan Drake, Lara Croft, Marcus Phoenix, Kratos. You get what I mean.
I'm interested. I'm going to have to think about that one.
So that's it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for listening, as always.
Yeah, thank you for choosing to spend your time here. And as we always say, keep your eyeballs peeled on the Vox Ludio YouTube channel and Facebook. We're planning more and more stuff for the Facebook, so there's going to be a bit more interactivity coming there if you're interested.
Yeah, we should actually we've recorded some different content separate from the podcast that you're hopefully going to enjoy. It's going to be coming in the next week, I say. It's probably a good time scale to put on it.
Potentially, yeah.
We're next week.
We're in the post-production phase, let's call it.
Yeah, so hopefully you'll enjoy that. As it was quite fun to do. It's a bit shorter content. It's not as a time sink as the podcast can be. So hopefully you like that as well. But yeah, if there's anything content-wise that you would like to see us do, feel free to get in there as well, and we'll do what we can.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we'll work on this series that we've been coming up with. Goodbye.
Yes.